G'day, welcome to Supercoach 360. How you doing? It is Juzzy J in the coach's box once again to talk all things Supercoach with my faithful companions. Bergs is busy doing the sharing as per usual. How are you doing, Con?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, very good, man. Very, very, very good.
That's good.
I'm excited
How come?
because I got something special to announce.
What's going on?
Con, have you heard about the website?
Oh, I have heard a little bit about it.
Yeah, what have you heard about it?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, well, I mean, you can make your own opinion, really, because we've got a new website and we'd love for you to check it out. It's www.supercoach360.com. We've got a bunch of contributors, a bunch of members of the team all jumped on board and are helping to put together sort of a one-stop shop for all things Supercoach. It's only at the very start. We're looking to grow it and build it. So get in touch if you're into making content and, let's create something cool. So www.supercoach360.com. We've actually got a bunch of contributors on the show tonight. We got Brad Smith, who's going to talk some PPM. Ross Mann is going to talk some Supercoach relevant players. Timmy O is going to give us the fear factor rating of a few players he's eyeing off. And Glenn Fisher is going to give us some team selection tips. So we've got a big show, buddy.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you ready to jump right into it?
Absolutely. Let's get rolling.
Yeah, let's get rolling. First of all, we've got to do all the usual stuff up the top. So we are back on Apple Podcasts. Sorry for the delay. Figured it out. It's all fixed. So if you're listening on Apple, cheers. If not, either way, go leave us a review on Apple. We'd love that. Group codes. We want to announce a new group which has only been created in the past week. It's the Podmasters Public League. It definitely has nothing to do with Bergs, that's for sure. But the code for that one, for anyone who's playing along last week and went, wait, they mentioned the league and didn't get a code. The code for the one you're allowed to join is 104397. That's 104397. It's the Podmasters Public League, public group, sorry. So you can play against all the podcasters all in one place as a member of the public. See how you rank amongst all the content creators out there. Maybe get yourself a bit of confidence on how good you're going to be at it, because if we can do it, anyone can. Also join our group, the Supercoach 360 overall group. That's 790873, 790873. And of course, we've still got the winter ring promotion. So with trials starting this weekend, footy out and about, if you can get yourself a shout out or a little video, record it on your phone, send it through to us at the page on Facebook, Supercoach 360. You'll go in the draw to win a ring from the good people at supercoachchampion.com.
You can use the others as well. We have Twitter and we have Instagram as well. So don't just give it all to Facebook. Use the other platforms, Juzzy. Don't hold out. Share the love.
All right. I mean, go for it.
What?
A little bit more emphasis. Have you got these ones?
360, they're all the same.
All right, sweet. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Instagram. I mean, Bergs checks them all, so why not do it on 3 platforms instead of 1? Whatever one's convenient for you. Also, big shout out to the NRL Supercoach Tragics cash comps. So if you're looking to do cashies this year, make sure you head over to NRL SC Tragics Cash on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. Hit up Brod. He's going to take care of you. If you're looking for just general Supercoach info and discussion, hit up the NRL Supercoach Tragics group, also on Facebook. So we've got a fair bit to talk about tonight, boys. First cab off the rank, Origin planning.
Yeah.
Right. Now, so my question is, with Origin and with Origin planning, do you have to do it? Right?
Con?
You can go, mate.
Okay, well, I think you do, at least, you do. You do have to a little bit, because you don't want to get left with, like, no players come Origin time, come the bye time. If you're heavily littered with Origin players and you haven't focused on the buys, you can lose a lot of people and be playing with eight players, and that can topple you out of the ranks. Whereas if you've planned for this, you can realistically take 13 or 14 into both games, I think. I I think last year there was a game where it was more heavily stacked to take into the first game, and a lot of people loaded right up. But I think by the time you came around to that second game, there was a lot of injuries. People went down, and the plans went out the window, and people got left high and dry. So I do think planning is crucial. You don't have to plan from day one. Like Origin is round 13. You have a lot of time to pick and choose your side. You know, if you catch my drift, like you will have Origin players in your side. Otherwise, you will get left behind from the start. And then it's a matter of picking which Origin players do you let go of during that period. A lot of the blokes get a rest. They play reduced minutes, which sometimes it's a good ploy to get some players out and bring them back after Origin and the buys, and they had a little bit of a rest through that period, and they're strong for the run home and a little bit cheaper. And you haven't copped the hitter points. You've jumped on someone a bit stronger or a bit more solid. So I personally do plan for Origin. I'm probably not this year going to go as heavy as I have at the start of the year where I have before. Like in past years, I've loaded up from game one with Origin. Like I've looked way too deep into Origin, and then by the time Origin comes around, I've had these people go up and down, and I lose their money where I should have sold them and moved them along. Do you know what I mean? Like I shouldn't have hung on to these people, and I've only hung on because of Origin. And it's those sort of things where come round 6 or 7 where I should have moved them on, cashed in, upgraded and done whatnot else you haven't done, and then they just malinger around your side. And I think there was a bloke, I can't remember, from Canberra last year who I hung on to for Origin, and he just didn't even play. It was one of them things, like, and wasted all the upgrades with his money, you know. And so, yeah, I think Origin planning is a crucial thing, especially if you're in the hunt for overall. Head-to-head, not so as important, I don't think. I think you can take your hits because everyone's going to cop a bit of a hit for Origin. But if you're playing overall for the big money, I think Origin plan is crucial to your success.
What about you, Con? How do you feel about Origin planning?
I think it does play a part. I don't know if it's the biggest thing. Head to head, I wouldn't care too much about it, as long as I was in a strong position going into it and confident coming out of it. Overall, as long as I guess you do have to do a little bit of planning for it. It's hard not to do any at all and try and stay competitive, like Berg said. It's impossible. Yeah, I gave it some really good thought, and I couldn't come up with much against overall for Origin planning, and you have to do it like Berg said. It's crucial, but I think head-to-head you can get away not so much.
Well, you can. You honestly can get away with not planning.
Well, you can just start with a couple like you will anyway, and then just maybe bring in 3 the week before, and
yeah.
Because a lot of people don't plan for it as well if they're playing head-to-head.
Yeah. Well, you expect... I think that's where you plan for your hits through the Origin period, especially if you've started well with head-to-heads, then you definitely gain a bit more of a mindset of where you can cop a hit.
That's it. If you start 4-0 or 5-0.
Yeah, you can definitely cop a hit if you're playing head-to-head glory only. You can cop the hit through Origin because you've already got those wins under the belt. Whereas if you start off a bit like
you lose your first 3 or something,
1-4, then you might want to start looking at changing your team a bit earlier because you're not doing well. Like, you got to make changes early. But yeah, sometimes the race isn't at the start as well. You've got to make your money over those opening rounds. So, granted, it's good to walk in with a team, but you don't want to start with so many nuffs on the bench for the sake of having a solid 13, 17. You're better off having the one nuff if you're going to start with a nuff if you do, rather than littering your team with nuffs, if you know what I mean, from game one. Like, I've heard people with the strategy of 3-4 nuffs from the start.
I think the only way...
That's crazy.
Do you consider them enough if you're looking to never fill that position, like you would be at the end of the season, when they're nuffed for good? Or do you look at them in the same light as a cheapie that is on the horizon, is going to get a run, the Sam Walker of last year, you know what I mean? Like, someone who you know is going to come in. Payne Haas in his rookie year, someone who you know is coming into that side eventually. It's just a matter of the when and the where.
Have you heard of any this year so far?
But you are asking the wrong person.
Normally you would have heard of one by now.
Well, there's been pretty much 2 years with no reserve grade, so it's hard to know what's coming through exactly.
Well, that's true too. Like, and that's the other thing I heard. I can't remember. I think it might have been on the Champions podcast with Wilfred and that's why the cheapies are a little bit inflated, because we don't have Reggie, so they're getting blooded in them round 23, 24, 25 games. And getting a couple of starts, so they're $220,000. You know,
not
what I mean?
the bottom dollar.
That's
like
right.
We
And
used to.
them 40, 50 grand's crucial to the
Yeah,
if you
They add up. Three or four
or five there. That's right.
And that was the thing I took from the Champions podcast today. I was listening because our friend Timmy was on there.
Oh, Timmy O.
Hey,
Tim Moody.
Oh, Tim Moody.
Yeah.
Shout out, Timmy. How you doing, buddy?
He's last year's champ. I've got to hear what he's doing.
Yeah, of course. He wrote an article for the telly. Any of you guys read it yet?
No, fuck the telly.
Yeah, well, let's see how to pay for it. But Timmy, send us the article.
In saying that, Sangster's not as bad as we all make out. He's all right.
All right, fair enough.
Say good day now. Nah, don't.
Well, boys, speaking of Timmys and Timmy-O and people that are on the team here at Supercoach 360, I want to introduce you guys to the first dude, Brad Smith. I mean, you guys obviously know him from around the traps, but our listeners might not know him as well. So, Brad loves his maths, right? He's been playing Supercoach for quite a while. I think last year he finished 9th. He did all right. He's always been a commenter on the podcast, and he's always been pretty on the money with what he's talking about. Everyone in the Supercoach community, or a bunch of people, know him. Brad looks at PPM. Brad looks at numbers, loves breaking down numbers and running his numbers, which I know there's a lot of people out there that do. So I was talking to Brad the other day, and he's done a couple of write-ups for us on supercoach360.com. And we were talking all about points per minute. So let's say good day to Brad. But you touch on a good point. In fact, you've touched on a couple of good points. David Fafita with his minutes, and then so PPM, and then your essential need to be planning what you're doing with your Supercoach side from the get-go. So, as you know, you've been doing some work for us with supercoach360.com. You've written up a couple of cool write-ups there on PPM and on how to plan out your Supercoach side. So I was hoping to just delve into a bit of what you do at this point in the preseason to plan out your side, how you go about doing it. So one of the things which you've put in your article about planning is the importance of writing down your dream team sort of before you get started.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, and whether it be new players, ones that are just very casual sort of players playing a bit of head-to-head and for fun, or those that are seriously chasing the top ones, you all should be writing out what your dream team is and just have a plan, have an objective as to where you want to get to. That might not come off, which mine last year didn't really come off from where I started. But basically, I always had a plan to get Turbo in. I always had that plan to get Cleary in, although in the end I was a bit like Tim Moody. I went with DCE, and my plan did change. But that was due to injury and a few other issues with Cleary. So, yeah, you've got to plan ahead. And, you know, I'd be planning in about 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks in advance about what potential trades I was looking at in 6 to 8 weeks' time from where I am now. I'd be constantly looking at who is going to have price increases or decreases into the future, so I knew who to sell and at what time I could sell them and who I was probably going to be going to.
So how do you go about mapping that out? How do you go about, one, finding the information, and then two, actually being able to read it to be able to make your decision?
Okay, there's a couple of good sources out there. I mean, obviously, we've all spoken about Supercoach Stats, which they do a fantastic job. NRL Supercoach Stats, just jump on the net, you'll find them there. They've got every single stat for every single year for the last billion years, since Supercoach has been going. And but as well, if you have Supercoach Gold, right, in a very basic terms, I mean, I'm not going to go. I mean, I have spreadsheets and things like that and mathematical algorithms, but you don't have to go that hard. It really is easy. It's just going to Supercoach Gold, and it'll give you a 5-week projection of where a player's price is going to be. It'll give you so you're able to tell then, okay, in say 3 weeks' time, this player is going to drop by so much, or this player is going to increase by so much. So then you've got an idea. Okay, that player is going to maybe make 150,000, or that player is going to decrease by 100,000. If he's going to decrease, obviously it's there's going to be a peak time at which you should be selling. And of course, you would have heard about break evens. You've got to get your head around when their optimal break even is going to be. Again, Supercoach Gold tells you that stuff. It is right there for you on the site. Very similar to points per minute. It's an easy stat to delve into. It's right there. You don't even have to have gold for it to start delving into such stats like that. It's right there, right in front of you. You can have a look at them, and you can start pulling it apart and trying to figure out for yourselves exactly who the best value points per minute sort of players might be, or who is going to increase in points per minute. Takes a little bit of research and a little bit of delving.
Massive thanks to Brad Smith there. If you liked what he was talking about, there's plenty more to that conversation. We've got a new YouTube channel. Just search for Supercoach 360 on YouTube. You'll find the full chat there. Otherwise, he's already written a couple of pieces for us at supercoach360.com. Thank you very much, Brad. We're going to see a lot more of him this year. One thing he did mention in terms of planning was the need to build a dream team. All right, so in our conversation, he said one of the most important things for him in sort of planning his Supercoach season is building the dream team. So I set the challenge to you guys last week. Bring your dream team this week. Did you guys manage to make it?
Yep.
Yeah?
Sure did.
Sure did.
Did it today.
Wow. Okay, there you go. Threw yourself under the bus. Love that. Well, Bergs, let's start with you then. You did it today. It must be fresh in your mind. Who's your dream team?
I've literally just finished it.
Should we go together position by position, or is we going to go through his team, rip it apart, and go through mine?
Well, I was thinking go through Bergs' team, and then we can easily knock out the doubles.
Well, I reckon we'll knock the doubles out early. What do you reckon?
All right.
Teddy Turbo?
No. Turbo Trell.
Right.
Goal kicking for Trell. I think that can close the gap on Teddy. And just for a point of difference, because everyone's going to have those two. So if Latrell can explode and I've got him and the rest have got Teddy, good for me.
I've got Turbo as the starting fullback, and then Teddy, Puppy, or Trell. I've got the fact that Puppy and Trell are both goal kickers as well. But it's pretty much going to be the two that are in form, available at that end of the season. Injuries, suspensions, anything can happen. So I'm just keeping my options open in a couple of positions.
Yeah.
Right. Then I have Toto.
Yep.
Yep.
Stags.
Yep.
Aikens.
Stags and Aikens haven't made mine.
Gary.
Yep.
Yes.
Now I've gone with the Broncos fullback. It's either going to be Tessie New or Selwyn Cobbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's I've gone with that guy, whoever that is, just because Tessie New come out a bit of a wet sail last year, and with a better side around him, if he's fullback, that is. If not, Selwyn Cobbo will be fullback, and he'll be that guy that I'm talking about.
Well, I've got one of those, and it's Adam Dewey. If Adam Dewey's playing 5'8", I want him in my centres.
Yeah, that's a good shout too, actually, yeah.
Yeah, if you can get him in the centres, I'll cheers to that.
But in saying that, are they going to sack Brooksy and Jackson Hastings didn't come back to play reserve?
Well,
grade? That's
time will tell.
An argument.
It's overdue, but...
What are your centre wings, sorry?
Centre wings, I've got Coates, Tupu or Sawali, and then on the bench, Raymond, Lomax, Mulatalo or AJ. Keeping my options open there.
You sure are.
Well, I've got Coates and Suwali too. If they can find their feet at the Storm and Suwali can get the wing spot at the Roosters, I'll be looking towards both of them.
Two ceiling clubs that are going to be hot in finals contention and won't be able to take the the foot off the accelerator. I've got it's it, Coates and Tupu or Suwali, whoever's out on the wings there, as my startings, and then I'm not sure once again with the bench.
Who are your sixes?
My sixes, Munster Keary.
Munster Keary.
Mine's a real dream, this one's Munster and SJ. I'm
Yeah.
dreaming SJ can find that form that he used to have, and I'm dreaming I can own him again just one more time.
Right, I've got Cody Walker and Munster. I
Yeah.
think if Souths can click, it'll be off the back of Cody. He still needs a 7 though. Like he needs someone to start it off, if you know what I mean. He needs someone to have that go, but he's still a good 6.
Right, halfback.
Cleary.
Yeah, and Nuff for me. Dual
Well-
position Nuff in case I have to play Kiri up or something like. Well, yeah.
I've got Nath there, but I wrote Ches in just a second ago.
Oh wow.
Just
All
to
right.
get me up to a 21-man squad.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well, Hughes would be my backup if I went that way instead of another gun 5'8", but
Yeah.
it'd be either.
Starting back row.
Runner.
David Fafita.
Yeah, I got Fafita.
Yep. Gussie.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
Andy Crichton.
And then who?
I got TPJ.
I got Cam Murray, captaincy this year.
Straight up, I went Cam Murray as well.
Hopefully he plays some more minutes.
Yeah, that's it. I'm hoping 80 minutes on the edge if that's going to be his role as a
He won't
captain.
play edge, he's a middleman.
Yeah, well, that's it. He's
But
brilliant.
he's
off,
fully
but-
capable. Well, don't get me wrong, in the tough games you might have to pull him off, but fully capable of playing 80, I think. So, you don't know. As a captain, hopefully he has a bit more of a say of when he comes off. If he's still feeling like he's got it in him, then he might play 80s.
Well, Bennett was pretty well known for not playing many forwards for 80 minutes.
Yeah.
So if Demetrio's got a different approach to it, you could easily see Murray step it up to at least 70 every game.
Yeah, and that's great for his game, especially with the extra sets you get with the newer rules. And then I've also got B. Smith.
See,
Yeah.
I've got him up at hooker.
Yeah,
I
same.
mean, but also, like, I've got a couple of asterisks where I could interchange any of my hookers into the back row. I've got a few dual position options there because I think that's one of the crucial things is I want informed dual position hooker back row.
What else you got in your back row?
I got Curran as well. Sorry, I know the question wasn't directed at me.
Yeah, no, I've got Curran / Tohu Harris, whoever's hot.
Yeah.
At that time, because Curran's more attacking stats, but Tohu will just get you 70 week in, week out comfortably.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take a stab at all your front rows. Payne, Haas, Stefano, Udu, Kamanu.
And IPAP.
Oh, you got IPAP in there? Yeah,
I
cool.
got TPJ, Haas, and I've got Big Steph. Big Steph will I'm fully confident in him this year.
Yeah.
He turned the corner and he'd be the best the Tigers have, if you catch me drift.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think, like I said to you earlier off the podcast, like Alex Twal, take nothing away from him, good player. They've just lost Sean Bloor for an extended period.
Again,
Injured. So that also adds to him. That means they're coming in with the bloke that's not meant to be starting, if you know what I mean. He was meant to be starting all off-season, Sean Bloor, until the injury, so...
Yeah. No, he just got better week in, week out last year. Now he's another year older, another pre-season.
Like, I understand he's not going to score all the tries. He still will score some tries, I think, this year, but last year he scored a few tries. I think he got 4 in a quick succession. So, might have been 3 in quick succession. So, he'll still be a gun athlete, I think. Gun player, man. And cheaper than both the other two. I've only got TPJ there just due to being dual. And if the dog's going to run, and it's best to have him up in the front row where points are a bit less attacking wise.
If IPAP's not playing on the edge like he did to start the season this year, I probably won't go him. I'll probably have...
TPJ or Thompson?
Nah. Who are you talking about?
Big Steph?
Cam McInnes. Sorry.
Cam McInnes.
I'll probably have Cam McInnes in my back row.
We're never talking about Cam.
No, you weren't. I got lost there for a second.
I got B. Smith, Marnie, Cam McInnes, all interchangeable at hooker or back row, except for Marnie, obviously, if he's in form and they got a good run at the end of the season, which I haven't had a chance to check out yet. But for the front row, I'm looking at Olakau'atu, TPJ, or possibly the Fish.
He's Olakau'atu.
No, Kawatu's back row.
Yeah,
Is he
back
straight
row.
back rower?
Yeah.
All right, well, sweet. Well, in that case,
He's one I
You
forgot
are-
about, to be honest, too.
Curran and Olakau'atu will make up my back row then, and it'll be a choice of Smith or McInnes or Marnie at hooker, and then obviously the Wizard, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I've got Harry and Cook. I just think Cook this year should go up again. I just hope anyway, for my sake, because I drafted him too. So
I got Harry and B Smith, because I think B Smith and the back rows were our average cook this year.
right, yeah, Cook hater, eh? You just hate.
He loves making bold predictions, though. I'm loving this. He makes a few, and he doesn't realise, but I've been going back and taking notes. And I'm just going to eventually...
I think I'm up.
Yeah, I'm going to write an article at the end of the pre-season just with all the cons bold selections.
Oh,
and,
God.
bold predictions, so that way we can actually start checking them off the list and seeing what comes true.
The benefits of writing these down is for that, eh? Like Brad would have been talking about then. It gives you an idea of what way to go, when, and how, and quickly. Hey, like who to bring in. Like you just tick them off your list as you go.
Well, that's it. You obviously try and start with as many as possible.
Yeah.
Cheapies and middies provided, however that works out. And then, you just, I suppose, try and just slowly chip away at the list.
Yeah.
Have a goal of who to get, or watch the break-evens, and when someone drops to their peak, low point, snap them up.
There's no shame in changing your list?
I don't think so. Well, obviously, injuries and other player performances are going to dictate your dream team come the end. You can't just stick to that plan or shoot yourself in the foot.
You've got yourself like
at least a rough draft,
you know what I mean? Like, you know where you want to go.
Yeah.
Where you think the points are going to flow from.
Well, that's it. Ideally, if in a perfect world for yourself, all these players are fit and firing come the end of the year, and you've got them all.
Is there anyone you can see being like, you know how we've had in the past start to finish players? Is there someone like in the say 200 because of the money change? Say up to 280. Is there someone you could see going from start to finish?
100% on his price, but Joseph Suwali, I think, will go very close to that.
He's just over, but yeah.
Oh, thanks for stitching me out there.
No, he's just over. I'm pretty sure. But yeah,
he'd be the main one, and maybe Isaac Targo from Panthers if he can get that starting centre spot and cement it.
Is he no shot of playing back row? Or?
No, I think we kick our still there for one more year, and Liam Martin earned it right too. I think he's predominantly been a centre for his juniors and stuff. He just could play in the back row, and that's where they needed him at the time, I guess.
Yeah. Now, also, like, just in saying that, will he get plugged in the right centre, or will he go over there on the left with Toto? And
I think Stephen Crichton will stay left.
Stay there. Right. But yeah, anything else in your list that you think is shocking or anything? Is there anything that shocks you? Like,
I think we pretty much went over it. No.
No, well, it's obviously relying on him getting 80 minutes in the back row.
Yeah, that's it, and seeing based on season form. Like, I can understand him being there, especially if he's going to have been in your start, and you're looking at maybe being a season longer if he can pick up that spot and perform.
Well, I'm just thinking last year, the game sort of got turned around on the second row of centre thing. Like, the centres seem to have way more attack and prowess, way more points on offer for a centre, rather than the second rower, if you're catching my drift. Like, now is it more, should we be thinking of stacking our second row with those centres? Like, has the game changed that much?
I mean, look, you could, I don't know if I'd do it at the start. That's just some
wild shit. I'm not doing that for anyone out there. Probably don't listen to me either, but I'm just saying that's where the game's headed. Like, it's more for the attack and outside backs, and we do get the odd centre wing that you could probably plug up into the second row, who granted his base is probably shit, but on his high weeks he'll definitely outscore those guys.
I know what you mean. I think that's a very risky play.
It's very
wouldn't adopt it at all.
Perfectly, you'd have to litter it perfectly, but it'd be one of those things. If you could pick and choose that, gee, you'd be on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it'd be like having another Dave Fafita some weeks.
Yeah.
Alrighty, boys, let's move on. We got Ross Mann. So Ross Mann's been a long-time friend of the show, and he's put together a big list of his predicted 17s for each club starting the season. So you can start picking people off the list, and he's also been a legend, gone through, put all the injuries and outs and all his Supercoach relevant players in a little summary at the bottom of each team. It's organised club by club, so it's a little bit of a go-to guide for me at this point when I'm trying to figure out who to fill that that starting 17, well, starting 25 with really. So Ross has done a bit for us, and I had a little chat with him the other day. So I'm just going to go to that. All right. Welcome to the show, Ross Mann. Thank you for joining us in the Coach's Box. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Super excited about footy season. Can't wait.
Yeah, that's it. Should be good. We got our first taste of games over the weekend. Starting to see a bit of form, but obviously trials are just around the corner now. You excited to watch some trials and start figuring out some lineups?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm pretty keen to see what it's. I mean, obviously trials is a bit hard because not always all the decent players play, but I guess it gives the young guys a bit of an opportunity. Those cheapies an opportunity to prove themselves for those starting spots in the teams.
Yeah, that's it. Wonderful. Speaking of starting spots in the teams, you've been doing a bit of work for us over at www.supercoach360.com. Recently, you put up your predicted team list. So you think you've got your ear to the ground on who's going to start, or is this a bit of a wishful thinking?
I think it's actual thinking. It's probably going to be pretty close. Obviously, trials will be different. It's going to be hard with some of the cheapies and stuff like that. But I think a lot of the positions that I've put there will be pretty close to what they're actually going to be. Obviously, got a few players out injured and suspended, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think they'll be pretty close to the mark.
Awesome. All right. Well, you've done a fantastic job. You've managed to put like an injuries and out sort of casualty ward section there for each club. It's all separated out by club with their starting 17 or predicted starting 17s. And then you've even got a little summary of just all the Supercoach relevant players, which for a bloke like me is just an absolutely wonderful resource. So make sure you head over to supercoach360.com and check that out. I just wanted to ask you a few questions, a few of the burning questions which are going around at the start of this 2022 preseason. So first one, are you going to start with Turbo?
At the moment, no.
At the moment, no. Right, no. Fair enough. Too expensive? Hoping he's going to drop cash, or do you think Teddy Pappy's going to make more?
I think Teddy and Pappy are going to make more. I just think this year is going to be a different year with the fullbacks. I don't think Turbo's going to have that big gap between the scoring, between the three, between Paps, Teddy, and also Turbo. I don't think Turbo will dominate as much this year. I'm not saying he won't have a good season, because he will, because he's just a gun. But I just think it'll be tightened up a bit more this year, especially with Kiri back for the Roosters and Paps hopefully playing the season out and goal kicking. Yeah, I don't see there being that massive gap this year. So at the moment, I don't have Turbo on the team, but I'm pretty sure at some stage he will be in there.
Alrighty. Nath or nah?
At the moment, no.
No, Nath. Is that just because he's out till, allegedly round 4, or is that the price?
Just the price and the fact that he's coming back from surgery and stuff like that as well. I think for me, he's a wait and see. But again, could be one to bite you in the backside if you don't start him, though, like Turbo, though.
All right. First pick?
First pick was Payne Haas.
Yeah, okay. So go on solid strength up in the front row?
Yeah.
Okay. Must have midi?
Oh, geez. Tough one. I mean, there's a few options there. I think maybe Xavier Coates might be a good option there as a midi. Both Burma if he starts as well.
All right, cool. And, that's it. Your cheapie. The cheapie that you got to have, or the cheapie that maybe people don't know about.
Cheapie's probably the Targo from the Panthers. Lock him in your team.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we've actually had a much longer chat than this, where we've gotten into your predicted team list and your Supercoach relevant players. If you want to find that, just head over to supercoach360.com or hit up our YouTube. Just search Supercoach 360 on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us on the show today, Ross. It's been a pleasure.
Not a problem at all. I'm looking forward to jumping back on the podcast again at some stage during the season.
Yeah, mate, that's it. We can't wait. Hopefully we're going to have you on quite a bit this season. If you enjoy Ross's content, make sure you leave him a comment, drop him a line, follow him on socials, and tune in to Supercoach 360 because he'll be on here with us as much as we can get him.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
And that was Roscoe. Love Roscoe's work. He puts in some big efforts, especially for the new website. All the boys, anyone you've seen tonight, they got their own content on the website, www.supercoach360.com. Look at that.
Look at that. He has no idea what it is. I've been harping on about it for ages.
You know I'm not a good reader.
You hide behind that excuse, and we both know you're full of it. Speaking of being full of it, apparently Con has some centre wings for us. A big shout out to Ross Mann for all the work he is doing at the website as well. There is a bunch of members of the team. Someone actually asked in the comments, they said, hey, I think it was Timmy Mack said, hey, where's Guy this year? Guy's been dealing with some personal stuff that's going on. He's just a bit busy at the moment, as we all get from time to time. But yeah, hopefully he'll be back soon in some capacity. But we got heaps of people on the team. We got a bunch of new, fresh faces for you to wrap your head and your eyes around. And I don't know, this just sounds weirder and weirder, doesn't it? Let's move on. Con, centre wingers, buddy. I do believe that you have a few for us.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, someone has actually asked us the question. Clay Armitage says, I think I'm going to focus more on fullbacks, front rowers, second rowers, Pelicans for wingers. What do you reckon about that?
Hey?
Running with Pelicans for wingers, focusing on fullback, second row, and front row instead. The old school Supercoach method, I'm going to call it.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Don't mind it? Would you consider it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Burgo, I mean, you know, sort of you were talking about stacking with centre wingers and trying to pick up the attacking points.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're sort of the opposite there on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Listen to you two, just nodding along. This is how people agree to things they don't understand. You guys both agreed to something. You were not wrapping your head around what I was saying. That's all good.
No, I know what you're saying.
What's he saying?
He's saying, do you start with all cheapies in your centre wing, or are you going to go with your theory, like you just mentioned about moving them into the back row even, because they score so high, you got to have them?
Yeah, I just did a little bit of research while watching the Rossi. Not many, probably not going to happen that way at all, unless we get some come in. But yeah, look, I see merit in it. I do see merit in it. But also, now that it is becoming more of a better point scoring position than it has been.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, there's more points on offer for them.
That attacking thing you were saying at the start of the show, if it's going that extra man wide, now it's the centres picking up those spots, those extra attacking points.
This is my theory, just quickly. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere where you want to go, but
probably not.
Instead of getting a Gus, I'll get a Mitch Barnett. Do you know what I mean? So that way I can probably juice up a winger, because I think there's only going to be 10 to 15 points difference in between Gus and Mitch Barnett, probably by the end of the year at the most. Whereas I think the centre wings, there's some shit centre wings, and then there's your gun centre wings.
Well, that's it. There's the 30s and 70s.
Like, there's a reason Toto's 700,000 compared to everyone else there. It's because he does so much work. Now, there's a couple of other workers coming through, whether or not they get spots, is like that Marju, he's a worker from the Titans and stuff like that, but predominantly they're not much workers in the back. But I think you'll lose players a lot easier in the centre wing if you don't jump on them earlier for cheaper, rather than you can wait for the second rowers, if you know what I mean. They're not going to fly out to 900,000 like a centre wing will. So you might be best just taking that little hit.
Fafita, obviously.
Yeah, well, look, I'd love to get David Fafita.
Just quickly while we're on that, Jared Watson. What's
how are you, brother?
With Fifi's or Deefi's rib injury, you guys still keen on starting with him?
No, I'll obviously wait for more news at a later date. But yeah, I'm very keen after seeing he's running the All Stars game.
I must admit, I can't afford. I know last year I had to jump on at a certain point, but he also had a lull. And it was right after I jumped on, he had a bit of a lull. a couple of games. Don't get me wrong, still got some big games in amongst all that, but ended up on the bench by the end of the year, which was a bit of a worry. So yeah, no, look, I can't jump straight on to David Fifita. Don't get me wrong, if I find enough ways to squeeze some money, I'd love to. I'd love to be able to upgrade anyone to David Fifita. Anyone, even the best bloke I've got there at the moment. But at this point, can't.
It is hard to justify it.
Alrighty. I don't know if I acknowledge, but also there's an extended chat with Ross on our new YouTube. So I definitely did for Brad, but there's actually a super extended chat with Ross where he breaks down all his Supercoach relevant players and the ones that he really likes on our YouTube. So make sure you head there, Supercoach 360 on YouTube. Con, have you got some centres for us, mate?
I do. Obviously, Toto. I've just gone through and had a look at their base, really.
Yeah.
So just base and power stats, see what they actually do throughout the game without attacking stats. And there was 3 that stood out. One's a goal kicker, that's why his base is so high, but he's in a reliable team, so I counted it.
Gaz?
Garrick?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was him. So he averages 54 with the goal kicking if you include the misses as well.
Yeah.
So throw any attacking stats that Tommy's going to create. And I think by the end of the year, you're going to want to have him, absolutely. Toto averages 57.4 in just base. We all know what he does. Everyone wants him. Everyone will have him.
What is he, 20-odd hit-ups, like minimum again?
Yeah. And then the other one that surprised me was so high was Jesse Raymond. Averages 53.7. Doesn't see the attacking stats of the other two, obviously not being a winger. But if he can see some good ball without SJ this year, I don't like his chances. But yeah, he's definitely one to have. I know Guy's a big fan of him.
You don't rate Trindle and Nico Hines over at the Sharks? Service him all right?
I want to see how they go first.
I think Trindle's hurt.
After the All-Stars game?
I read somewhere, yeah, Trindle's hurt. So
Moylan Hines.
keep an eye on that.
Stay on the phone.
And then I got a few where they're in good teams and they could just go ballistic. Like Tupou, he only averages 42.7, but on the Roosters back line, I'll probably be getting him in sooner rather than later. And AJ, we know what AJ did last year. I can't see him replicating it to the same extent.
I mean, he's been top try scorer near enough the last 2 years, man. He's on the end of a... You were thinking...
He has been the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's it.
He doesn't have...
No A-Ray.
Not that. He doesn't have a hit-up in him, but he doesn't like to get... He doesn't do no top...
Well, he averages 29.
Hit-ups a game.
No,
a year.
All of his base, like break tackles, tackles.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
yeah, without the tries...
He's the finisher.
Yeah.
And we've seen it last year. He'll get you 150 one week and the 26 the next.
That's it. When he gets the ball, he goes over the line.
If they come up against a Melbourne or...
If you're playing overall, but it's all about average, so it all averages out, and he was right up there, I think, third or
he's
something.
He's still up in the top tier of blokes on the app. So.
It's just such a lethal left, man. Like, it's such a lethal left side there at Souths. I mean, we'll see what happens this year. But Cody played left a little bit with him last year.
Cody played left all year.
There you go.
Played a little bit of right here and there, which was good to see.
Which, you know what, it done him well.
Oh, they need him to.
Yeah.
You can't just have him on one side of the field. Him and Trell, they both have to go both ways.
All halves should be doing it.
Yeah.
So, take note.
All right, you got any other centres there for us?
No, I've just got some where you'd keep an eye out if their positions change, like Dewey, Manu, if he can get the fullback, or even the 6, I'd have a good look at him.
What about Manu over the Origin time?
Yeah,
for fullback.
Definitely.
It still does depend. If they lose a couple on the try, I can see him still using Teddy, but Joey Manu, he's a good plug and play through Origin.
See, and especially if Teddy gets an extra rest after Origin to put him in finals contention.
Well, you just hope that he gets poorly used throughout the year, so he's cheap enough for you to run that gamble.
Yeah.
Where you wouldn't do it if he was expensive, and there's a chance that he doesn't make you anything or get as many points.
And if they go as explosive as I think they're going to, Keary might be pushing for the 6 jersey for New South Wales as well, so there could be 2 positions Joey could fill in over that time.
Would they bring him on as 14 otherwise?
I think Luai would be more the 14.
Yeah.
I don't think Keary would be 14.
Fair enough. Is that
and then Holmes, if he can get the fullback spot back. I don't know what's happening up there. I don't know if the Hammer's got it or Holmes has got it.
I've heard it's left side for...
so he should be.
Left side.
That's where he belongs.
Left side strong for Val.
Yeah.
Him, I think, is it Tuolangi and Lukey?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you and Aiken's the last one. Oh, and Cobbo and Swartley.
Yeah,
depending on their years.
Well, Cobbo's got the massive raps, like massive raps.
Oh, he just reminds me so much of Latrell.
Yeah.
The way he plays and the way he runs and everything, it's just Latrell.
So he's lazy? No. I'm only joking.
Hope not.
Does he?
Alrighty. So next up, we've got some Fear Factor players with friend of the show, Timmy O. So Timmy O'Connor has been putting together some of his Fear Factor players. He rates players, giving them a Fear Factor rating just based on different categories that he picks from week to week. It's all up on the website. I had a chat with Timmy, and there is an extended version of this chat on YouTube. He's based in Queensland. He's a mad Broncos fan, so if you're, unfortunately inclined like him, then make sure you hit him up because he loves talking all things footy, Supercoach and Brisbane Broncos. So here's our chat with Timmy. All right. Thank you for joining us on Supercoach 360. Tim O'Connor, how you doing, buddy?
Very well, thanks, Juzzy. Thanks for having me on, mate.
No worries. So you're a valued member of the team. You've been chatting to us quite a bit over the last couple of years. You jumped on the show a couple of times last year as well. You're now part of the Supercoach 360 team through the Supercoach 360 website, www.supercoach360.com, where you've been putting together a weekly column you call Timmy O's Fear Factor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically looking at the scariest players in the NRL and Supercoach not to have in your team. So basically, if you don't have them, it's scary as hell to watch. You know, when you're sitting on your couch on the weekend, Turbo just scores a try, gets an assist, and you just want to just sort of put your head under the pillow. That's it's like one of those scary movies things. It's just too hard to not watch, but at the same time, you don't want to watch because if he's not in your team, it's no fun.
Yeah, fair enough. So you've got a few of those players for us today. This is taken from Volume 2 of your Fear Factor column. So why don't you start off with who's your first player there?
Yeah, okay, so first cab off the rank this week, looking at Nico Hines, who's gone from the Melbourne Storm last year, obviously over to the Sharks this year. Bit of a change for Nico. There's a few unanswered questions. He actually just played in the Indigenous All-Stars game last night. Seemed to play all right without setting the world on fire, so I can imagine enough people saw enough to keep him. Me, probably not so much. But there's big question marks with Nico last year. Obviously, he was playing in fullback. He wasn't playing full games for some of them. He came off the bench when Paps played. That's Ryan Pappenhausen. So there's a fair bit of difference between what he did last year and his scoring potential last year versus what may happen this year and his scoring potential being in the halves with Cronulla Sharks.
All right, so why's he made your Fear Factor rating? Are you worried about not owning him? Or you just...
I think just because of his scoring potential. We all saw last season what he did from fullback. Assuming that if he's playing in the halves, he's getting his hands on the ball a fair bit more and obviously going to get an opportunity to call the shots. So he's just one of those players. He can bang out a big 100, which is obviously the types of players that you want in your Supercoach team.
All righty. So you got any stats there on Nico from last year or what to expect in the halves from him this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So across last season, he played in 22 games for the Storm. That was at an average of 78 Supercoach points per game, okay, across his 22 games. Now, like I said before, keep in mind some of those games he came off the bench, some of those he played 80 minutes for. So in 80-minute games across the season, scored at an average of 1.2. Oh, sorry, try again. Across the season, he scored at an average of 1.2 points per minute. That's in 80-minute games as well as games that he came off the bench, so that's just straight across the season. He scored 5 big tons throughout the year, some of which he actually plays against in the first 3 rounds of this season.
Okay, cool. So he's got the potential for high scores there. How's How's his Supercoach going to be affected with the club change? Now he's running behind a different forward pack. There's a new coach there. Feels like there's a lot of uncertainty at the Sharks. I mean, that means possible potential for big Supercoach scores and big money made, but also the fear of the unknown. Do you think he's going to go better this year, or are you going to get on him straight away?
No, for me personally, he's not in my round one team. But as I said, he can score a big ton. He got 5 of them last season. Keep in mind, he played 22 games, so that's a pretty good scoring average across the season of football. So to go into some of the stats and what I've looked at for this season, in round one, Nico plays against the Raiders. He played them twice last year. He scored 138 points in 80 minutes and then scored 72 points in 70 minutes. So the fact that he banged out 138 points in an 80-minute game against the Raiders last year sounds pretty good for a round one, having a good crack at a decent score.
All righty, cool. So what's your fear factor rating for Nico?
Nico got him as a 3 out of 5 at this point, mostly because of the uncertainty. You just don't know how often he's going to have those big games. He's certainly got it in him. But running all the way from fullback and trying to carve through defence is a little bit different to being much closer to the line of defence and playing from the hearts. I will mention also in round 2 he plays against Para. Last season only played them once, 39 points in 32 minutes. So again, a pretty healthy PPM, but obviously didn't play too many minutes. Round 3 he's got the Dragons, smashed out a massive 182 points in 69 minutes. So again, not a full game. That equated to 2.64 points per minute.
Which is just astronomical.
Absolutely. There's not too many players that score any games, unless they're only playing 10 or 15 minutes, of course. But there's not too many players in the NRL that can score at 2.64 with close to a full game of footy.
Yeah, brilliant.
So big thank you to Timmy O for jumping on board, talking to us all about Nico Hines. Like I said, the extended chat is on YouTube. Otherwise, find his fear factor articles on the website, supercoach360.com. All right, Bergs.
Yes.
So, I believe you have a few forward options for us, buddy.
I do, but first I just want to shout something out before we go into my thing. I found... well, actually, it's a page I found for gambling. I'm sorry, gamble responsibly if you're over 18. Don't bet your house on it. But the Sports Nuts, a page on Facebook, they do multis. Like, we all know we're terrible at gambling. Don't listen to our advice when it comes to gambling.
Okay.
Where's your fortune shit?
Oh.
There you go. You're
I
not
don't bet big enough to...
But no, it's a good page. So if you do like to have a punt, I suggest you go find the Sports Nut on Facebook. I'll let you know next week if they're on Twitter and on Instagram. I forgot to ask. So I'm a bit useless with that. But yeah, go check it out. Also, so what do you want to talk about? Forwards. All right. So I've got some forwards. I will be honest. Did not go as in depth as Con with numbers or anything like that. I do have a bit of an idea though on where they were placed, average-ish. I just didn't write it down. So the forwards. To start the year, I could honestly see merit in starting with just about any one of these couple of forwards, especially if you're looking to free up some cash. Payne Haas, obvious choice, with an average of 68, I think. I do believe he finished the year 68, and he's the only genuine forward with that high of an average. The other forwards with that high of an average are dual position players, I think. But having Payne Haas on your side will probably be one of the things you have to have by the end of the year at least. Not sure if you really need to start with him. Granted, if it was 2020, I'd be saying you've got to start with Payne Haas because I think he averaged 80 odd that year. But last year came crashing back down to earth. 68 still a great average for a big man. But I do feel you could probably start with someone else and work your way to a Payne Haas. Could you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I do.
Yeah.
I think another man who I think will be on your list.
Oh, they're all there.
Big Steph.
Big Steph,
from
yeah,
the Tigers. I think he'll do a very similar job to Payne Haas for a lot less money.
Well, I've got Lindsay Collins in that exact same. See, they're the other two genuine. I've got a couple of actual genuines. I think Welch down at Melbourne, he always does come out the blocks strong, but they're having dramas with big men down there. There's a couple of unvaxxed, there's a couple of injured. What's his name? The Bromwich brothers are going to the Dolphins, so I can just see a few extra minutes for Welch if he's got it in him.
Dale.
No Dale. There's a lot going on, and I can see him definitely being an easy stepping stone to get to a Payne Haas. And then James Fisher-Harris, same. He's constantly been the top 5 front rows for the past couple of years. As long as Juzzy's been playing the game, the Fish has been in the top page when you start your front rowers. Bang, Fish is there in the top 3 to 5 blokes. Now, I only got Fish there because I think Penrith played the first bye round, and he will definitely not play Origin. So he's virtually a definite starter till 14-15, like barring injury. So you won't miss a game. You won't have to use a trade unless he gets injured. Will churn out less points than a Payne Haas, but will chug along nicely. There's a reason he's in the top 5 front rowers for the last
that's it. He'll
years.
give you a solid 60 average with no flair.
And they've lost a couple as well. So I can expect things from him. Also got TPJ and Luke Thompson and IPAP there. I know that they're the duel, but if the second rowers are getting more points, I could even, if Huss isn't scoring as good as TPJ and IPAP by the end of the year, I could see myself having Huss on my bench
easily,
rather than having him in my starting.
Well, if all 3 of them
you know,
are going better than Huss, but not as good as the other 5 or whatever gun for second rowers, Huss might not even get a run.
Well, that's it, and it's one of them things you've got to keep an eye on. And it's always good to have these players that you can trade in and out of your front and second row, just with injuries and stuff like that. So that's another thing. Now, I've got Big Steph and Lindsay Collins as blokes that you probably might not even need to use as stepping stones. You could just plug and play. Lindsay Collins he's playing Origin. I think he played Australia even, has he?
I think so.
He pushed Jared Weir-Hargraves to the bench last year to start the year. If it wasn't for his injury, he was chugging along nicely. Yeah. And like you said, Big Steph to finish the year off last year. I've got merit in both of those blokes.
I've got Big Steph after the bye in round 17 last year. In his last 8 games, he averaged 65.87.
Yeah.
So that's too short of Payne Haas season average.
Yeah.
For, I think he was 100 and...
he's a lot.
140k cheaper or something.
Now, I've also got a couple other guys. If you want to pod these other fellas, I think these guys chug along nicely at their clubs and all score well. Like Matt Lodge towards the end of the year last year at the Warriors, he was their go-to guy. I think he was chugging out 80s and stuff at will by the end there.
He was doing really well.
He chugged along well once he went to the Warriors.
You could have AFB too, I think, in that conversation if he gets the minutes as well.
Yeah. And then I've got Josh Papali. I've started the year a couple of times with Josh, and he tends to come back slow. He doesn't come back chugging out those scores that he's pumping after Origin 3. He's one of them blokes that I would wait till probably after Origin to see if you're going to pick him up. And I also got a wait and watch on Mo Fodawaker, only because their younger forwards are coming through. I know Mo does a job, but I can just see other blokes starting to pinch minutes. And
well, Mofo's only 22 years old. He's only a kid himself.
Yeah,
he's just been there forever.
You've got Tino. I think he's the captain now, so you expect him to play more minutes. He'll want more ball.
I don't think necessarily. I can see Mo still churning out the same minutes.
Well, then also, with Kevin Proctor, my other theory was with Kevin Proctor going to the bench, what's his name? Fermor. He's a worker. He'll want runs. He's not going to dog it out on the edge like Kevin Proctor did. Like, he's just out there tackling. Whereas I think you'll find... he didn't fucking have any hit-ups. You'll find Fermor will go in and have runs, which will take away from these other blokes.
Well, Peachy's gone out of the middle too, so there's some minutes.
Yep, that's true. And then as cheapies now, I've only got Andrew Fafita there. If there's an injury at the Sharks, I can't see him being part of their initial 17. Although he did play well.
He did look a lot better than he has for the last 2 years.
He did. I've got him on my list just because he's 200 and something thousand. Very, very cheap. And I've got Tepai Maroa because he's a jewel.
Well, I think he had 14 hit-ups in the All-Stars game, made 20-odd tackles.
Yeah.
So if he can do that every week and break a couple with his crossfield
he's got
jogs,
an offload and everything. Like
so he could make you a little bit of coin.
Well, even if he's just a stepping stone up, or you don't have to play him. He's not a bloke you have to play, but he could definitely chug along. He's only got to score a try 1 week and then 2 weeks later get rid of him. You know, he's going to make that money. But, that's basically it I got for the front row. Like, I didn't go as in-depth as you did. I've got it right up on the website.
Well, front rows virtually speak for themselves. What they average is pretty much what they average. They don't get all that many attacking stats.
They're not going to get to the 900,000s that some of these other guys can get. Like, realistically now, we've seen $1 million players.
1.2 and a half.
You know, and so it's not a stretch to say that we'll see another $1 million player.
No, definitely not. I think we will see more than 3 this year.
Really? So, but we will not see a front rower make $1 million?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Not unless Dave Fafita moves to the front row.
Tommy?
Plays like one sometimes.
What do you got there for us, Juzzy?
Okay, moving on. Team selection tips. So Glenn Fisher from the Supercoach Tragics, he does some wonderful work. He runs the group and the page over there. They've just started a podcast as well, so get around that. You can find it, I believe it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, Apple, everywhere you find your podcasts. I think they usually release on a Wednesday. Anyway, he's been doing a bunch of write-ups as part of Tragics, and he's put them up on supercoach360.com as well. So he's got a team selection tips, and it's his sort of 11 parameters for picking a team. The full conversation is on YouTube, but there's a little taste of it here. So all right, Glenn Fisher of the Supercoach Tragics. Thank you very much for joining us on Supercoach 360.
Hey, thanks, Justin, for having me, mate. How are you?
Yeah, mate, I'm pretty good. I'm excited. Footy's back. Trials are around the corner. We've just launched the Supercoach 360 website. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited, to be honest. Speaking of the website, you've put in a lot of hard work, let's be honest, doing a bunch of really, really informative write-ups, which are all on www.supercoach360.com. Of course, you're part of the NRL Supercoach Tragics on Facebook, and you're sort of the ringleader around there. You're definitely one of the most active members in the group, always posting all sorts of bits of Supercoach information. So tell us a little bit about your Supercoach. How long have you been playing?
So I started playing in 2015, and I've had a bit of success. I've been top 100 once, and I've finished 5 times top 1,000. One of those times I was top 20 for a good part of the season and then blew it at the end. I run Tragics page with Rod, Dan and the other boys. It's something we enjoy doing. We're all passionate Supercoach fanatics.
Tragics even, you might say.
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay, so you've been doing a bunch of different write-ups over on supercoach360.com. The one which I actually want to talk to you about today is your new Glenn's Guide, tips to selection that you've put out there. So when I read through this and I had a little bit of a look at it, I didn't realise how many boxes one of a player has to tick to get into your team. It's actually incredible. You have 11 different checks that you will sort of mark off on each potential player coming into your side, and you'll weigh up. When you're weighing up players against each other, it's on not only their averages, their prices, but also these 11 factors. This just sort of blew me away. So how did you come up with these?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I've been playing for lots of years, as I said, so every kind of year I learn something different, I guess, and I sort of learn what's worked, what hasn't worked, and, you just sort of pick that stuff up. And I probably go in a little bit in depth more than some people. I'm a little bit fanatical, I guess, but I really enjoy that aspect of it. I really love the strategy side of Supercoach.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I'll admit you play it in a very different way to the way I do. I'm not much of a stats and number crunching sort of guy. I wouldn't even know what stats to look at half of the time. I'm starting to learn more the more I read on Supercoach 360. I'm actually starting to really begin to understand how people actually go about working out and pinpointing players using all those numbers, because that's one thing I've struggled with in the past. But then these sort of 11 checks that you've got is something which, I've never really even factored into my Supercoach side. So let's start at the top, minutes. I mean, it sounds like a pretty straightforward one, but I think the key takeaway there is 80 minutes for backs, and hookers and spine, pretty much the only people that should be playing less than 80 are forwards, and ideally 60, 65 plus.
Yeah, that's right. You really want, I mean, the more minutes of players on the field, the more opportunities they have to score. You know what I mean? When they're sitting on a bench, they're not getting attack stats, tackles, or base. So, when I look at forwards, I try and look at the rotation in sides and try and work out what minutes that player's going to get, because, as I said, the more minutes on the field, the more opportunities they get.
Awesome, Glenn. I think you've given us a hell of a lot to think about. Like I said, if you want to find Glenn, you can always find him on the NRL Supercoach Tragics group, NRL Supercoach Tragics on Facebook. He also runs the NRL Supercoach Tragics podcast, which you'll be able to find in the group and on the page. Otherwise, it's on Spotify and everywhere else as well. Plus, he does some writing for us over at supercoach360.com. www.supercoach360.com. There's a bunch of awesome articles, and you can get a bit of a glance inside Glenn's mind, which is always interesting, and definitely gives you a lot of food for thought when it comes to Supercoach. So thank you very much for joining us on the show, Glenn.
Yeah, thank you, mate, for having me, and I hope that my articles explain better than I can with my voice.
Oh, what are you talking about? You've done a great job, mate. Thank you very much.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
All right. Thank you, Glenn Fisher, and all the wonderful people at Supercoach Tragics as well. You're all doing fantastic work. Keep it up. Moving on, though, we've got some unanswered questions from the last couple of weeks. Sorry, guys. Pre-season, it's taken a little bit of time for us to, knock the rust off as we start to get back to match fitness and ready for game day. But we are going back and going over them. So the first one we've got is from Jaden Chapman. He said, who's the team that you're most looking forward to watching this year and why?
Mine's, I've got two. Broncos and the Bulldogs.
Yep.
Just the effect A-Ray can have on those young kids up there if he can steer around like I think he can. I think they'll be in for a big year. And the Bulldogs, because if their forward pack can click and get a roll on, they're going to be really competitive this year and there could be some points in them.
I too have the Dogs and the Roosters. I got the Roosters. After their last year, they got to the finals, yes, it wasn't pretty how they got there or anything like that, but they're a full compliment for the Roosters, and I just see them going on a tear, remember how Melbourne went on the tear last year? I can see the same tear from the Roosters.
Yeah, I think they're going to be very good too. I just don't like them, so I don't want to see it.
No, I don't like them either. I hope they bow out in the finals, but I can just see they just keep getting better and better. They don't seem to ever drop off, and then next year they get better again, and it's like, well, what do you do? So yeah, I just see them going well. It'd be good to own a couple.
I'm also interested in South to see how they do handle the loss of Adam Reynolds. See if they start going backwards, and the Wayne Bennett factor obviously too gone. So interesting to see where they're sitting at the end of the year.
Yeah, awesome. For me, it's the Panthers.
Well, that's why I just didn't bother, because I knew he's going Panthers.
Yeah, well, one, they're my team, so I'm always looking forward to watching them. But two, they did really well last year. They were thrilling to watch. They put on a lot of points. But they have lost a few players. So does the system work, and are they going to be able to sort of pick up where they left off? And then the Roosters as well, because full strength Roosters, they were lethal a couple of years ago. Are Panthers going to be able to do it with a side like the Roosters? I mean, you've already got to tackle the Storm, but Roosters sort of give them a run for their money. I mean, Panthers are right up there too.
Giving people a run for their money without their stars. So they full compliment. You got to watch them.
Yep. Alrighty. Matty Drew wants to know if there's any big burgers and specials this year.
Look, I do have one or two. If I was you, Matty, I would definitely jump on Big Steph. I think he's a definite. And I think this is just, I'd watch and see with this one personally, but I think that Blake Taff will play 7 after Trell comes back. He'll just go from full back to 7, and they'll give Ilias a bit of time to get to know first grade a bit better before they throw him in the deep end.
What if he has 2 absolute blinders at the end of the match?
Who?
Ilias.
Oh, good on him. He stays there, but I don't see it happening. So I can't jump on. I can't jump on either of them with any faith. Like, I just don't know what's going to happen there. And if anyone's taught me anything, it's the Warriors. Rowdy, your side. The Warriors have fucked me every year I've played Supercoach. I think they bring in halves every year. They play them for 2-3 weeks and scrap them before they get a decent price rise. It's like, well, fuck. Like, and then you bring in the next one because you think, oh, he's got to get the go. Nah, didn't get the go. And it's like, well, what do you do? Like, it's one of them things now I'm sort of wary of that. If I haven't seen somewhere where the coach has come out and said he's playing that position, that's his to lose sort of thing, then I'm not.
I'm sure he will by the end of the pre-season.
Not sold. I hope he does. That will sell me. But if he doesn't, then I'm not sold.
Fair enough.
Alrighty, Adam Sargent, he says he's thinking Paps and Ponga at fullback because he thinks that Ponga could be like Teddy when he was at the Tigers. Is it a word to the wise or is it a stay away?
I don't mind it. I wouldn't be banking my house on it, personally.
What's your draw like early?
And he's a KP fanboy and he's saying...
Oh, look,
probably not.
I see merit in it. Like, you're going against everyone else, you know, and if KP, we all know he got his big boys pants, I think 2 years ago now, got his first 160, and then last year I think he got a couple of big scores, like, wasn't just one in the year, he got a couple of decent scores, so we know he's got it in him. His problem is he's a bit lazy. He tends to, if you go to shit, he goes and clocks off and kicks a rock in the corner. So that's your drama with KP. His enthusiasm's not there. If he had the enthusiasm of a Teddy or something like that, fuck, he'd be a must-have.
Alrighty. Jay Statsberg from NRL Supercoach War Room wants to know if no To'o or Garrick, any smokies you've got for your centre wing, and who's your centre wings that you're going after to start the season?
Ones I think will start strong are Coates.
Yep.
And whoever gets the Roosters right wing spot.
Yeah, so either Suwali or...
Sauce. Not Sauce. I don't know.
Nguama.
Yeah, Kevin
Nguama, or there's even another name I seen the other day in the mix as well.
Is there a chance they're going to rotate through that spot throughout the year?
Hopefully not. Hopefully Suwali's taste last year, another pre-season. I reckon he's bulked up a fair bit.
Yeah, he does look big. I've seen him.
He's good to go and can handle the full season.
All right,
I've got a sneaky for you. I'm on either whoever gets the fullback role at Brisbane, if it's either Tessie New or Cobbo.
Yep.
Hopefully it's Cobbo just for the price, but I just see them going on a bit of, like, I can't see them setting the world on fire, making a grand final, but I see them going a lot better than they have the last 3 years in particular. Just with the guidance, and a couple of them younger blokes turned the corner last year, if you know what I mean, like how you did in Newcastle. Like, they'd copped their hard bash in the year before. They got broken in, if you know what I mean. Like, they became men, so to speak. They'd been trampled over the year before, and they came to grade last year, and it showed. They didn't get the wooden spoon. You know, they got better as a team, and this year I just see them getting a bit better. And if we've seen anything with the South's attack, they like to use the fullback. And Adam Reynolds was a massive key to a South's attack, and he's now at Brisbane, and they've got some big units up there to use, and I see the fullback up there most beneficiary. Him and Stags, to be honest.
Alrighty. Scott Smith wants to know your 5 definite must starts. So for me, probably Teddy, Paps, Grant or Cleary. And then I need a couple of forwards, unless you guys disagree with any of my selections so far.
Well, I'm overlooking Harry at the moment.
Yeah.
Just because of money. I've got Cook, but subject to change to Marshall King yet.
Yep.
Again, I don't know. I need money. I can't have anyone good. The way I see it is if you can either have them 2 good fullbacks, like that are half decent.
But that's it. What are your top 5? Are you going that way?
Yeah, well, I've got to have Teddy
And
Pappenhausen.
there you go. So who are your top 3 after
Well, I've
that?
got to have Teddy. I don't so much have to have Papes.
Who you go instead of Paps? So
Well, I'd love to say Trell if he wasn't suspended.
yeah, but you're not holding him for 3 games, are you?
2. It's
You're considering it? I mean, I would consider it too,
not
to be
beyond the
honest.
realms of possibility.
Yeah, goal kicking,
I
high
just,
ceiling
I
side.
just can't trust Pups anymore.
Yeah, after the confidence thing after last year. Yeah, fair call. Fair call.
And then I'll probably have to start with... you definitely have to start with one decent front row. It doesn't have to be certified gun like a Haas.
Well, I reckon Udo's a definite starter for me in the front row.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at him, or if Lindsay Collins gets his start and roll straight back, I'll jump on him on the...
And I reckon Warriors Edge is my other starting second rower. Whether that's Aiken, Curran,
Aiken's-
or Tohu. Well, I mean, Tohu's not
Tohu's out
back.
for half
So,
the year.
Yeah, Aiken should already have the foot in front just with his duel. Like, you can whack him down in your centre wings and know you're getting...
but that's it. I'll probably have him in my centres.
No, you're getting 70
He's
points.
not my
probably.
he's not my definite. I think Curran, who's proven himself last year, probably has a better chance of securing that starting spot and holding it down. Is probably my choice, I reckon.
Mine's Olakau'atu.
Oh,
I think
yes.
another year,
I
another
keep-
pre-season, I think he's going to have... Yeah, he hasn't been playing rugby league for, I think, maybe 3-4 years. That's it. He's turned up one day with, I think... Can't remember who it was. And they're like, you want to try? He's like, yeah. And he started. So I think big things coming from Olakau'atu.
Yeah, and I keep forgetting about him too, but yeah, he's definitely a smoky to be thrown up there. All right. Steve Clifford wants to know, can you put this on YouTube? Good news, Steve. I've been talking about it all night. We did. We put it on YouTube. You can get
Cool,
the
because of you, Steve.
It is. You can get the audio podcast on there. You can get the Facebook stream on there. Otherwise, we've got a bunch of things cut up into handy little segments to make it easier for you to find whatever it is that you're looking for. So check out the YouTube, Supercoach 360. Sam Picard wants to know Sam Walker, SJ, Ilias and Sexton in his halves. What do you reckon?
Yuck for me.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking get rid of Sexton.
I think ballsy as personally. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't go near it, but you do you.
SJ I like.
Really?
I want to see first.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I'm waiting to look. And Glenn makes a good point in the extended chat that we had about considering a player's past injury history. It's what's steering him away from SJ and Kiri. SJ can pull out of a game at the last minute. Like, Kiri doesn't do that. Kiri's going onto the field. The issue is Kiri gets into the wrong tangle and he might not finish that game, but he's definitely starting it. SJ, as you guys know, because you've been burned by him in the past.
Several times.
Yeah, exactly.
Still looking at him.
It's an hour before game day. So all that says to me, Bergs, is you don't learn your lessons.
It's not that. He's home. He's at his spiritual home team.
If we see a bit of form and fitness out of him in the first couple of rounds, then all right. But yeah, it's a watch and act for me.
Oh, it is for me too at the moment. But like I said, I'd see merit in his having SJ. I'll just see it.
All right, Sexton.
Nah, not a fan.
Nah, you wouldn't go near it. Ilias.
Nah,
Souths if he locks down the half.
I'd wait till I heard something.
I think he's got it. I like it.
Yeah, that's it. I personally want to see the job security first. And S. Walker, old Sammy.
Nah, I can't tell you to go there either.
See, I think in an explosive side, he showed his potential last year, and I think he can combine with Kiri. They've had a pre-season under their belt training together. And I think he was obviously getting some halves coaching from Kiri throughout last year while Kiri was on the sideline. Like, he was still part of the club. So
if he can keep the goal kicking spot and doesn't lose it to Momorowski, I can see merit in it. But if he's not kicking goals, I wouldn't touch him.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Fair enough. Brad Huxley says Manu as a smoky, especially if he's given a license to roam like Teddy.
Well, he had it. He had that for the last fucking 6 games of the year or something last year.
Well, that's it. So he's saying if Robbo keeps that up, is Joey Manu a smoky this year?
Yeah, well, the blueprint was set by Turbo in Origin, really. Playing both sides of the field like that. So if you got a player like Joey Manu who can do it, I can't see why you'd stop him.
Well, it's a waste. It makes
you more dangerous.
It's a waste to not, just camp him out there. We talk about it. Fuck, we've been talking about it way before Supercoach even. How wasted's that dude?
Especially if they're constantly going left because that's their stronger side too. I mean, if they can catch the defence off guard and he can manage to sneak across there with Teddy, all of a sudden you've got 2 extra men and formidable men. You know, you're not just putting a couple of newbies, couple of rookies out there. They're both seasoned professionals.
Ask Rich Joe, mate. Joey Manu is a fucking king.
Man. He did. I think he brought it up episode 1. He was asking if it was time to get on Manu. And you know what, Richo? It might finally be the time.
Fucking Joey's here.
Ross Mann wants to know, is Billy Smith in for a big year this year?
Look, he's the other one at the Roosters. He should, by rights, get a spot. He has been touted for 3 years.
Is he due back round 1?
I think he is.
Oh, I think he's been passed over.
Do you think?
Yeah. Tupou, Suwali, wingers, and then Manu and Momorowski in the centres for me.
I can see Momorowski just not doing anything. He's a dad.
No, he's not.
He's okay.
They signed him for a reason. He does his job well. He doesn't need to be glory man.
But I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't like Momorowski there. I can see Billy Smith's supposedly like.
And then you got Keegan too.
Con, you
played
got your phone
really
there?
well there last year.
You got your phone? Yeah. Do you want to call Uncle Nick and just tell him that Bergs doesn't like?
Yeah. I'll send him an email later.
Yeah. Maybe a text or something like that.
Send
Hit him up on
bag
Snapchat or
to shut me up
something.
if he wants.
Yeah. All right, cool. Brad Smith wants to know, Mitch Rain apparently has signed at the Eels. Do you think this could hurt Reid Marnie? Especially on the way out, way to the Dogs in the 2023. Could he see reduced minutes or a 2-hooker strategy going on over there?
No, I think if Parramatta want to be competitive, they play Reid for 80. If they want to be serious about trying to win a comp. I think it's just more precautionary because Reid had a few issues last year. I think one was a bad head knock. So
they just want some backup specialist.
Just quality depth.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Like, I know BA can be a sook. He's a renowned bit of a sook, like, blows up and shit like that. But you're right. To win a competition, you have to, regardless of, like, same shit with B. Smith down in Melbourne.
Yeah.
You got to put them on your park if you want to win. They're there on their money for a reason. Like, granted, they're getting upgrades or whatever they're going to do.
But there's a reason why.
But there's a reason.
Like
they're the bloke in your 17 to begin with, and sure, you lowballed them, your fault. Like, you know?
That's it. Well, it's a business. If
is.
it goes the other way, they're happy to do it, so...
It's one of them things. If someone comes and says to you, here, man, take half what you're worth, you say, fuck off. Personally, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yes. So who else we got there, Juzzy? What's the next question?
The next question, that is all for the unanswered questions, so we're up to date. So just the questions for this week. Michael Carroll, thoughts on Hetherington playing 80 on an edge? I mean, look, if he can stay there for more than 5 games, I'll be cheering.
Yeah, it would be a good get if he can pull his head in a little bit.
Yeah, that's it.
Fatala Mariner's definitely out. Supposedly there's a thing on the physio. He does a Patreon or something now. You can pay money to find out what he's saying. And he's saying that he's out for a bit. Yeah. Or doesn't look like coming back at all. Something like that I read somewhere.
Mm.
So Hetherington this weekend at the trials is playing second row. So
here we go.
It'll be one of them things. If he can lock that down, I'm not buying him because he's a liability, but that definitely opens up options for a front rower. Because that means we're playing front rower.
All right, Brian Ings wants to know, where will the Sharks end up this year and do they have any Supercoach relevant players? Well, to answer the Supercoach relevant players question, mate, head to Supercoach 360, find Ross Mann's article. He lays it all out in there. Otherwise, look for the extended chat on Facebook where we go through and break it down. Sorry, on YouTube at the moment, yes. Where will the Sharks end up this year, boys? Top 8 or no?
No.
No.
Yeah,
No for me as well.
Actually, yes.
Just out.
Yes.
Just out.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could be in the contest, but I don't think they're going to be in the game, if you know what I mean. Steve Clifford, might be too late, but a question for Con, because he'd know most about him being a Knights fan. What do you reckon about Josh King now he's in the Storm system? Is he relevant?
Oh, I like him as an NRL player. I like his enthusiasm, and I think he plays the game tough. It's just a matter of how many minutes and how he fits into the rotation down there until we know that.
That's it. Storm players can be a little bit up and down, can't they? I mean, they're not necessarily guaranteed their spot, and then they've got to do their job for the team. And then, of course, you've always got depth at the Storm.
Well, sorry, there you go.
You go.
I was going to say, none of their starting forward pack really have set high benchmarks in Supercoach scores for a few years now, since Jesse Bromwich lost his gun status. So,
I mean, the number 9 takes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they're back. So,
yeah.
Felice Kafusi had that one good year with Cronk. But
all right. Danny Sackle says, now that Jared Hayne has been released on bail, are Para still shit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Stephen Richards says...
So's Jared.
Yeah, he's still a shit today too.
Yeah, good. Stephen Richards says, if Bergs takes Saxey to the prom, is he expected to put out? Bergs or Saxey? Because I imagine both will have no problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm easy. Whatever way you go, sexy.
Well, I think that's what he's implying.
We can meet in the middle.
Brad Smith, I think he's talking about the fact that Jared Hayne has been released as biggest flop of the year. And he's also asking, will Danny Sackle wear a see-through dress? This sounds like it's going to be quite a prom. Put it on OnlyFans, boys. Find your audience. You'll be all right.
Join me.
Barry McCormick said, for the overall vibe of the year, how important is the team name? Keeping in mind, I intend to win. Bazza.
It is very important, Baz. You don't want to go out there with...
Baz's Fairies or something.
Let's face it, next year when we're talking about Baz's Butterflies, people think we're not talking about Supercoach. So you want to have a mean name, a cool name.
Baz's
Bash Brothers.
Yeah, it's it.
Yeah.
Mitch DeLeggy wants to know, is Snoop Dogg making a guest appearance tonight with the boys, fresh from the halftime show,
He just left before we started.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
wish you were here, Mitch.
So Bergs is going to reach out to Snoop Dogg and see if he wants to sponsor the pod because, Bergs thinks we might fit his demographic.
We definitely do.
Let's see how, allegedly, let's see how we go.
He just started sending the shit.
I mean, yeah, that'd be great. Anyway, Russell Terry Tough Kane says, should I be stoked or worried? My team's stacked. Obviously, it'll change with TLT, but is anyone else running out Teddy, Pap, Stags, Cleary, Fifi, Curran, TPJ, Haas, AFB, and then just a heap of mids and cheapies? I mean, yeah, that pretty much looks like what my draft's looking like, I'll be honest.
Nothing like that. Sounds good.
Sounds really good if you can find the right mids and cheapies to fiddle in between.
Well, and you stress the right mids, and that's where I'm curious to know exactly what mids and cheapies.
Mids at the moment.
I mean, if you're starting with those guys, yeah.
You're going to need some.
Matty Mehag says, thoughts on a pod like Nakora? Personally, for me, a no-go.
Which Nakora?
Britain Nakora, I would imagine.
Sharks back row.
I was thinking of the brothers.
Nicarima.
Yeah, sorry.
Get on the microphone, Bex.
Sorry. No one heard that, did they? So, no, Britain Nakora. Look, I like him, but again, you don't know what the halfback situation there is. It's a bit up in the air.
SJ used to feed him decent ball. And he would run good lines with SJ. He had a good combo there, but I don't know. I'd need to see the combo.
You'd assume they're all pretty young, like the Nakora and Trindle, and I think there's another one that Connor Tracy and Takio all come through grade. I think they're all about the same age, so you'd have to assume they have a bit of a relationship when he's on the park, Trindle.
Mind you, Hines isn't much older, so he's hoping Hines...
I don't think played Cronulla, though.
No, but what I'm saying is hopefully he can fit into that quite well and get into that sort of dynamic with the boys.
Well, that's the other worry. Like, only one person has left Melbourne and maintained an average, not gone on to be better.
Widdett?
Widdett was the only one who went on to do okay. No one's really left there and gone, fucking, I've come from Melbourne, bro. Look at my scores.
And let's be honest, he was storm fullback at Melbourne. You know, he was highest scoring player on the field when he was.
I think you find his biggest scores were while he played in the halves. So.
No, opposite, bro. His biggest scores were a fullback. Yeah.
Were they?
He didn't do great in the halves.
Oh, well, fuck it then. I'm not arguing on that.
Yeah, sweet. I mean, don't get me wrong, go look it up, but I'm pretty sure I'm right because I've been talking to a bunch of people who crunch Supercoach all day and night, and I reckon they're pretty on the money.
Juzzy's now got a team of people.
You gave them to me. That's the best part. What are you talking about? Chris Irwin says, why is the whole process still pick higher priced second rowers and not centre wings? Last season, if you sacked centre wings, you would have been way better off. Add in the penalty inside the 40 and there will be less hit-ups for forwards and more attacking chances.
Fully agree with that. I've stated that earlier. I think that I'll probably look at starting with the second tier of second row so I can invest more money into my backs and not have to start as cheaply. Just because those ones that are definitely going to get the good wing spots, like the busy wingers, you know, and the busy centres, they're going to make big points this year.
Yeah, and big money too.
Yeah. And if you can get on and off at the right time, you'll be able to build your team very quickly, especially with these boosts.
Well, my thing about it is, so out of the top 10 centres and second rowers, there was 5-5. Dewey was counted in those centres too, but so I just think because the second row is so much safer and it's volatile in the centre wing, they could drop 200 odd K in a couple of weeks if they don't get a try or anything, and you can snap them up cheaper than what you're ever going to get a Tohu Harris, Cam Murray, Dave Fafita and stuff like that.
But if it goes the opposite way, and that's the week, if you had the opportunity,
if you miss a run, it's
and then the next 2-3 weeks they go up that 200 grand, you're ripping your team apart to get to them.
Yeah, well that's
Matty Drew's with you. He said risky strategy, but you know,
I was one of them ones last year that paid $700,000 for David Fafita when I could have got him for $500.
Yeah, I did that for IPAP when I could have paid $450.
Like it's just one of them things. Like I missed the boat there. I missed the boat a couple of.
So they were two forwards.
I didn't even have Mitch Barnett.
Yeah, they were two forwards.
Well, Garrick was one that a lot of people had to pay well overs for in the end.
I mean, centres. Oh man, okay. You want to talk centres? I didn't get on Garrick. Who were the? I paid
top dollar for BMOS. I think round 3 or something when Matto went down. And he did well until he got injured, so I can't complain too much about that.
Yeah, that's it. That was a pretty epic injury too. So can't really do much there. I mean, who were the biggest scoring centre wings last year? Because I guarantee I didn't have 9 out of 10 of them. Yeah, I had Toto from the start.
Dewey.
Yeah, I don't think I got on Dewey.
He wasn't a centre wing. He wasn't a centre wing.
Yeah, no, didn't have Gags. Never touched him.
AJ.
Not until late in the season if I did get on him.
Yeah, that was top 5. So
there you go. Right, like that's it. That's where I've always done it. So I'm trying to put mids in my second row personally, a gun in each. I'm gonna have a few mids in my centres and just try and spread the mids and cheapies sort of evenly between the two. But centre wings is usually where I'm fairly weak, so I want to be conscious of that and make sure I'm pulling points out of the wings each week, because otherwise I'm in trouble.
So another thing with the centre wing, way down start there, I think you can look through the draw, find a good attacking team. Who favours one side, might have a mid-range winger on there. He could have a red-hot first month like BMOS this year. You can trade him out to just about anyone in 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple that do it. There's a couple that do it every year. There's a couple that have done it in the past that are cheap.
Lado Carr, he can do it. I don't know if he will this year, but
I think
Coach could do that in his stead.
I think any backs from the Dogs are a wait and see.
Yep.
I'd go jump on a forward like a TPJ or a Luke Thompson, but I won't
I'm even got one eye on Paul Vaughan. He's come back, he's fucked up, he knows it's his last chance, he's on a shit-all contract, he's going to be out to prove a thing or two. And I think he's still got it in him to do it.
Well, he's been there in the past, like we've both been owners of Paul Vaughan.
Definitely.
Reason for
right back to his time in Canberra.
Yeah.
All right, Jaden Chapman, who wins the comp and why?
Roosters, because they're just too star-studded, I think.
I think it'll be Melbourne Roosters grand final.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah,
Panthers just aren't in it?
too.
Oh,
Can't go back to back?
Sorry, Penrith, but big ask. It's just a big ask.
It is.
He's lost a lot, and
Well, it's been a massive 2 years too, and they're young kids, so they had to build up to the first grand final defeat, and then they got the elation of the second one, so
then they broke the trophy.
to go 3 in a row is massive.
Yeah.
I reckon they can do it. And otherwise, yeah, I think the Roosters, fresh, full of experience. They're just lethal. But Freddie Corbett, he's got an interesting point while we're on the Roosters. Sam Walker to outshine Supercoach-wise Keary by far this year, and especially early on. Is he crazy?
Not crazy.
Nah, look, Sammy Walker proved last year he's got massive points in him, but he's got a very, very low floor if he doesn't get the attacking stats that you're looking for. I like it. I like the play, especially if Nave's out, but I personally won't go there. I want a better defensive halfback and just a better worker off the ball as well, like someone who's out doing stuff, whereas Sammy Walker's still young. He's still got a lot of game to develop, if you know what I mean. So don't get me wrong, there'll be a period where you probably want to get him this year, but
I think Sam Walker needs, if he hasn't evolved his game at all, if he's still going to play the exact same way he did last year, teams worked him out. And he started to get exposed there towards the end. So if he hasn't learnt the short ball and other tricks to his belt, I think he'll struggle.
All right. Another quick one from Watto. Best mid-range second rower.
I got Oliver. He's just over probably.
I am going. He's cheapy. I'm going Tepai Maroa.
That's the one I was going to pop out
He's
too.
cheap, but that's your problem. If he's not one of them ones that you can go under and find someone cheaper than him to plug the hole. He's the bottom dollar guy, and you
got to wait for him to make the money.
But I
Run
think
the risk of him not.
I think he's a genuine chance of making decent coin.
I'll go Patrick Carrigan.
What's he worth?
400 and something, low 400s, I think it was.
Well, that's not too bad. What, starting front row, you reckon, up there?
462 and a half.
That's okay. It's not bad. What's the next one, does he?
All right, Timmy's been chiming in on the comments because he's been running the comments for us in the stream tonight. He reckons no Haas Juzzy. That's crazy. And apparently Fafita has been cleared of injury and he should play this weekend. So does that bring DF back into your starting sides if he's cleared of injury?
Money-wise, no. If I had money, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, if everything falls into place.
Even if he was injured and he was still named, you'd still think, geez, I've got to have the bloke. He has 6 runs and scores 150.
Henry Brind wants to know biggest pod and anti-pod.
Olakwatu, biggest pod. I'm not sure of his ownership, but to be honest with you, so...
Yeah.
Biggest pod will probably be for me... Probably Tessie New if I end up going that way. At the moment, for me, I'm looking at Tessie New in the centre wings. He's expensive, though. He's 511.
And then what does he mean by antipod?
Like, go against the grain where everyone's going, so
So going against Teddy Pappy
yeah, so you'd be going what? You'd be going Trell.
or KP?
Yeah, say Trell KP instead. That's the antipod. Everyone, what they're saying is because everyone's going Teddy, you go the other way. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Antipod and the top guy.
Don't know if he's going to end up being a pod, but Jackson Hastings.
No, he won't be a pod. He should be in 25% of teams at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a cheap half that's where points come from at the moment.
Otherwise, yeah, probably Momorovsky and whoever ties up that centre spot over at the Roosters, especially if Momo gets the goal kicking. Antipod going against the grain. Don't know. I don't think I've got anything going against the grain at this point. I'm trying to completely avoid that because I do that each year and it ends in disaster. Hayes Dunster. I think people are actually going with him.
Yeah, well, they've got no Sivo for so many games, and they've got Fergo's locked up in Japanese jail.
Yeah, well then he doesn't have the contract with Parramatta anyway.
So there's no winger there. I think Will Penasini was.
He'll get around.
I've heard him touted.
He's said to get one wing spot, I think, and I think Hayes Dunster was set to get the other. So both could be good looks.
I just don't trust the Eels attack enough. But
well, you go the Sivo side because that's the side Guffo seems to chime in on the most. And
which side does Moses like to play though?
He's back out on the right hand side.
Yeah.
So Dill Bags is back out there on the left with Sean Lane, you'd have to think. And yeah, whoever they've got.
All right. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Well, my antipod would be Huss. No Huss.
No Huss.
Oh, well, there you go.
52% own him, so...
Already, 52%
well, there you go.
have him already.
There's my antipod, because I've already said I'm probably not going.
And Supply Morale is 38%, so...
Oh, shit. So he's the second most owned dude in Supercoach.
Kane Darcy wants to know thoughts on Lomax, and Matty Drew wants him to be quiet. Although Lomax has had 2 solid years in a row. So
last year was very injury affected. I think he only averaged 55 last year. The ball wasn't bouncing for him like the year before.
That's true. I'll give you that. But yeah, he still looked fairly solid. He might not have scored incredibly well, but the Dragons didn't do great last year either.
That's my biggest worry again this year, how the Dragons going to go.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, they go against one of Glenn's golden rules, which is ceiling clubs. Go for the ceiling clubs. You got to be really careful with those low ceiling clubs because more often than not, they're not going to get the points. So especially if you're relying on attacking stats, they're just not going to eventuate more often than not. So
I like the thought of Lomax, but yeah, the same thing. I think now with old mate there as well, they got a couple of better backs that are going to command a bit more ball. What's his name? Sloan.
Right.
I can see him pinching some of them bouncing balls that normally fall into Lomax's hand into his hands. Played very well in the Indigenous game the other night, young Sloan, from what I've seen of him anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I personally can't afford Lomax or haven't even looked at him, to be honest, but he'd be a good way to go if you want to go that way, I feel. He does kick the goals. Well, I wouldn't say no to him, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'd say to Kane, get on him if you want to get on him.
Just under 500k.
We could be your guy, you know what I mean? Marquee.
all right, Shane Foote reckons Cook ain't playing 80. Is he still on your hit list if he's not playing the full 80?
Where
if you're sharing the hooker?
From footy?
Who do they have over there?
Mark Azulis.
Yeah, there you go.
I still think Cookie plays 80. If he's not, well, Reid Marnie's the guy to go to. And unless you want to take the hit for that 1 week that Harry's out, I think it's only 1 week. So
I'm seriously considering it.
If I had the money, I'd probably take the hit. At the moment, though, I'm expecting Cookie to get me to Harry Grant. Hopefully.
All right, Jaden Chapman wants to know, is Tyson Gamble a smoky? I mean, he is, but do you really want to be gambling like that in your halves? If he locks down a spot...
You know about the gamble. You've had the gamble.
I did. I took the gamble, but I only took him as enough. As soon as he got minutes, I got him out of my side. Because,
you did.
Yeah.
I had him for a while.
Good.
Punched
Good
out
for
a
you.
few 50-60s.
So, with that there, that's my problem with the Broncos. They haven't actually said who his halves partner is yet.
Gamble, Kelly.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys up there. You got Walters as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's the gamble with having anyone that's not A-Ray up there. You don't know who his halves partner will be.
Yeah.
And the way they've changed them over the last 2 years.
Well, that's it. First season back. Unless they've really locked one down that they're going to commit to, there's a really good chance they're actually going to cycle through halves partners in real game experience. To sort of, yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, this time they've got a brand new halfback, though. Or is A-Ray more there to help guide the club and train up the next generation?
Oh, you'd have to
He's there
think
to win.
he's there to get him some wins, man. They're a club with high expectations, Brisbane. That would be upsetting to them, having a wooden spoon and not at least getting into the 8 the following year. You know, like that would be upsetting to their club mantra, if you know what I mean. They're a club that expects big things from their players and their coaches, have done since as long as I can remember. Granted, they probably rorted some salary caps here and there, but who gives a fuck? They got away with it. Good on them. But yeah, I can't see him chopping and changing as much. I hopefully picks and sticks at least for a couple of weeks just to see. Like,
well, it'd be interesting to see if the plan is long term. If Staggs is going to be the 6, and whether he does go there this year or not. They got a lot of outside backs coming through.
I think that was just all talk to get him some more money. He's not a 6. No offence to the bloke. Some blokes are just better at what they are. Like, Jack Shadowcar's not a fullback.
But we've never seen him play 6. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, we haven't, but...
You guys said Trell wasn't a fullback, though, too.
He wasn't to start with that to make him.
So there you go. That's it. But people can change.
I knew he had the inning, but yeah.
But you know what? You as a club, you've got to be willing to cop another hit year.
And they might be if they're part of a... Yeah, they might be.
They took them fucking 60 years to win a premiership or something. They don't give a fuck. Brisbane won heaps. Like a lot.
I get what you're saying.
And they have an expectation of getting back there quickly. But
Benny knows what's going on. Benny's got his finger on the pulse, and you got to remember, Benny's only just gotten up there. This is his first full year there. He only moved mid-year last year, and that was just that way he could get ahead and get everything ready for pre-season. He's a football mind, mate.
You know his father-in-law is, eh?
But don't care, but the point is...
He doesn't.
It's Wayne Bennett.
Has nothing to do with this.
No, it's just you would have watched him be an operator for the last fucking
you'd still be ringing him up too and saying, hey, Wayne.
Yeah, but you know
what?
Brisbane was Wayne Bennett for a long, long time, especially when Benny Eichen was a member of the fucking Brisbane fold.
The point is, you've got a few Brisbane alum, all from the same era now, trying to manage that club, and it's from the Premiership era. So
they've got a lot of work to do.
They do, and maybe they're well aware of that. You know, they picked up their first wooden spoon only a couple of years ago, so maybe they are just going to sort of go into a bit of a rebuilding phase and know, you know what, it's going to take us 2-3 years.
The other one,
then we'll be right where we want to be.
The other one I forgot about was Ezra Mann. Massive raps on Ezra Mann as a 6. Coming through great at Brisbane, and they've re-signed him, so the Reece Walsh thing didn't happen again where they lose another good young talent. So he could easily push all the other 2 blokes or 3 blokes we were just talking about out of the way for that 6.
I mean, it's a young side at Brisbane, and it's an emerging side, so let's wait and see what happens.
Got any questions?
No, that's it. The final one was just a comment from someone saying they think SJ is going to step up this year, being around a young the sort of, it's him and Nico Hines that have to step up, really.
Yeah, but is he just going to step up and be that game manager role kind of thing where the Cooper Cronk, where he's not going to translate to Supercoach, or is he going to step up? Well, he's not going to rewind the clock, obviously, because he's not fast enough anymore with his bung knees and hemis and calves and whatever else.
That's it. Let's see what happens. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm personally not going near him, but
I hope he proves me wrong, and I hope I can own him throughout the year sometime.
Alrighty. I think that's it from us. Thank you very much for joining us for another week. We have enjoyed having your company. Make sure you hit up supercoach360.com. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts as well. Subscribe to us on all your favourite podcast apps. Say good day on the Facebook. If you want to win a ring, you can do that through Supercoach Champion. You can win a ring from www.supercoachchampion.com. Just by getting a video shout out. We're getting closer and closer to footy season, so do what you can. Thank you very much for listening.
Don't forget to check out Sports Nut on Facebook.
And enjoy the trials this weekend. We've got a full slate of trials, so excited for that. We're not expecting full strength sides yet, but good to see a bit of footy. We're getting there. So thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Peace.